What's up, guys? Salute! Welcome back to Country Bunkers Trains. Hope you're doing well and having a good week. Today we've got a set lined up that I've been dying to share with you guys for quite a long time. Way back in late October, early November of last year is when I actually picked this set up. It was kind of an early Christmas gift to myself. I got a few days with it. I was able to post a couple teaser pics on a community post, but unfortunately only got a few days before the engine died and needed some servicing. The engine has finally made its way back home this past weekend, and I've been putting it through its paces on the layout over the last week, and it seems like it's finally ready to do a video with. A quick word that today's set and video is all about the Penn Central. I figured this was pretty appropriate. Not only did we finally get our engine back and able to run our set, but a few of our YouTube buddies have recently done some Penn Central videos on their stuff. I figured I'd throw in the towel, bring out my big guns, and join the fun. But no, seriously, the Penn Central is a pretty sore topic or sore subject amongst railroaders, rail fans, and even model railroaders. And rightfully so. The Penn Central was a complete and utter failure even before it got started, losing almost unfathomable amounts of money every day. At the time, it was our country's biggest corporate failure. Hell, even today, I'm sure it's still within the top 3, if still not the number 1 biggest corporate failure in our country. But it was a sign of the times. This was kind of the final nail in the coffin of the golden era of railroading here in the United States. Another item of the Penn Central that many seem to dislike was their use of cheap, basic, utilitarian paint colors or paint schemes. Long gone are the Penske's Tuscan Red and Brunswick Greens, as well as the shimmering stainless steel and streamlined grays of the New York Central. These colors were replaced with flat black, green with white logos. A lot of people argue this isn't near as flashy or exaggerated or exorbitant as the previous colors. But even after saying all of that, I have to admit to you guys, I'm one of the goofy oddball ones. I myself am quite intrigued and fascinated by the Penn Central. I love watching videos and reading up on all the history on what eventually unfolded and happened with this railroad. Along with that, the coloring itself, I find the colors quite attractive. I enjoy it quite a bit. Like I say, I'm one of the goofy ones. I can't help it. I think one of the reasons for that is here in the O-gauge world, you don't see a whole ton of Penn Central equipment roaming around. On top of being a disliked railroad, it's also in an era that not a lot of people seem to model. Usually people model the early steam era, the transition era with steam and diesels, or the exact opposite end of the spectrum with modern day current stuff that you would see rolling around in real time. So you don't see a whole lot of Penn Central stuff, and I think that's why I'm quite drawn to it. But anyway, let's get on with the good stuff. Let's check out today's set. Hell, we've waited almost a year to see it. No reason to wait any longer. And here they are. Let's start out with the rolling stock. As you can see here, we have the complete set of Lionel 21-inch Penn Central passenger cars. Aren't these things gorgeous? These cars were offered back in 2015 to go with the Vision Line GG1s. And as I mentioned, we have the complete set, which is a bit of a rarity for me. We have the main 4-car set up top, the 2-car add-on pack, as well as the add-on separate sale Station Sounds Diner. These things look fantastic. It's kind of hard getting all these big behemoths into one shot. But anyway, what I absolutely adore about these cars is what an accurate representation these are of the actual real cars. As I mentioned earlier, Penn Central was repainting all their stuff into flat black and their multiple greens, but that was not true for everything. They were losing buckets and buckets of money by the hour, so they were unable to repaint and service everything. In fact, a lot of the rolling stock retained its original colors with a simple Penn Central logo patched over the original. And as you can see, that's quite evident here. Here in this complete set, we have a baggage car that was lucky enough to be serviced. It's been repainted all black. We have a couple cars that were repainted in Penn Central greens. But along with those, we've got what looks to be an original Penske coach. Retains its original Tuscan Red. And again, just been patched over. As well as some what I would believe to be New York Central stainless steel cars. These received either simple patchwork. One of them did receive a green stripe for some updating. But yeah, I think that's really cool. A really neat and accurate representation of the original prototypes. These look more like a modern-day excursion train, more so than an official, in-use passenger train. But that's what makes these so cool and interesting to watch while roaming around the layouts. I absolutely love them for that. But yeah, I did go against myself picking these up. I told myself early last year, no more 21-inch passenger cars. I already had the set of Pennsylvania cars for our S1, as well as the continually growing Union Pacific passenger cars that go with our Excursion Big Boy. But the downfall of these behemoths is the amount of valuable shelf space and storage space that these take up when not in use. These things are quite huge and take up a lot of space. And unfortunately, we just do not have that here in the train room at the moment. So I really didn't want to pick any more of these up, especially a complete set such like this one. But once picking up the engine that pulls these cars, I think you'll understand why I had to get them. They go so well with the engine. Yeah, it was a no-brainer. They had to come home. With that said, what do you say we get to the star of the show? Let's check out this new engine. I gotta be honest, I'm quite proud to have this engine in the collection. It's another one of those engines I dreamed about owning for quite a long time, but never thought I would actually own one. These are somewhat of a harder to find engine. There's not a whole lot of these in circulation, and due to that, these do pop up once in a while, but they usually have a pretty hefty price tag attached to them. Over the last couple of days, I've been giving you guys some teasers. Do we have any last-minute takers to what could be hiding behind this box? I've given you guys some good clues, but let's check it out. Are you ready? Here she is. Check that beauty out. That's right. She is the Lionel JLC all-black Penn Central GG1. Absolutely gorgeous. This JLC Penn Central GG1 was offered in the 2005 Volume 1 catalog. It comes equipped with TMCC, Rail Sounds 5, and the Odyssey speed control system. It has operating pantographs with sound effects that go along with them, dual Fat Boy speakers, a smoke unit for steam generator smoke effects, dual motors, directionally controlled LED headlights and marker lights, illuminated number boards, front and rear electrocouplers. It has a die-cast metal body and trucks, engineer and fireman figures in the cab, illuminated cab interior, as well as opening doors. It also has a removable roof hatch to access the control switches up top. The JLC series was the Vision line of its day, being top-of-the-line models, and it really does show on this engine. This thing looks spectacular and has a bunch of great details added to it. Road-specific details, sounds, all kinds of cool stuff. One of the road-specific details that really stands out on this particular model, just like in real life, was the relocation of the air intake vents here up top on the nose of the GG1. Previously and earlier in the GG1's lives, these air intakes were here down low, but it was discovered they were sucking up snow in the winter and dirt and debris and whatnot, so they decided to relocate, cut out, and install the air intake vents up here on the nose. That disappointed a lot of people back in the day, saying it made the engine ugly. Hey, whether you love it or you hate it, you gotta admit, that's one standout detail on this model that you notice as it's running by you. I think it's really cool. Now, fortunately and unfortunately, one common problem that plagued these JLC GG1s were the die-cast trucks. These were very common for getting zinc rot. These trucks would just crumble and fall apart and turn to dust right in front of your eyes after a few years of ownership. Thankfully, we do not seem to have this problem on this engine. I see no witness marks or see no zinc rot on these trucks. But I don't know, I don't know if they're original or maybe they were replaced before I got it. I really don't know much history on this engine. We did have a few other issues with this engine. Obviously, it's been out for quite a while. When I first got the engine and ran it for a few days, after a few days of running, the rear motor took a dump. I fried that motor. And as I said in a previous video, if you guys have ever killed one of these motors, you know the stench of these things. My goodness, they smell horrible. In fact, I still get little hints of that smell on this engine, almost like the grease and the oil kind of absorbed some of that stink. Ugh. But I was able to get that motor replaced, got a new one in it, and I was able to run it for one lap before we blew another board. We blew the R4LC board in it. And that's what we were waiting all this time for. We were waiting for Lionel to come back out with another R4LC to replace this one with. That's what took so long. Along with that, we also had to replace one of the wheel sets, I believe. I had this work performed at Zitnik Trains down in Tampa, or Pinellas Park. They did the work, but they replaced a wheel set. That's all I really know about it. I will say one thing that's unfortunate ever since I got it back from repair. The pantographs have been acting a little goofy. I think maybe the repair guy got the plugs swapped, because when I first fired the engine up, the front pantograph wanted to stay up versus being correct with the rear one up. Yeah, it is kind of a bummer, but it doesn't really bug me all that much, because obviously I'm not backing it up, reversing it, and all that. So I've just got the pantographs locked in this position. Yeah, it's cool to hear that sound effect and the pantographs going up and down by themselves, but that doesn't necessarily kill it for me. Hell, I'm just happy this thing's running, and I'm going to run the wheels off of it before I open it back up for anything. I gotta give my drug dealer and buddy Tony over at Roundhouse South Trains, located in Port Orange, Florida, a huge, massive thank you. Tony knew I was hot and heavy over getting this engine, and he just so happened to get this one in on a collection that he picked up for the store. He gave me a holler and let me know he had it and sold this entire set to me for one spectacular deal. I can't thank you enough, my man. I greatly appreciate it. You know, I wanted this one so bad, I passed up all the other Vision Line GG1s specifically just for this one. He even has the Penn Central Vision Line GG1. A beautiful model, but I much prefer this all-black one. The Vision Line one is an earlier rendition, or earlier version of the Penn Central GG1. I believe it still wears the Pensy green with the patched Penn Central logos over it. I just prefer this black one personally. I think it looks a whole lot better. But here's a quick little tip. If you do happen to be on the hunt for a Vision Line GG1, I believe Tony still has all of them in stock available at his store. Might be worth a call if you're on the lookout for one. But anyway, let's take this thing for a spin. What do you say? I do apologize. Please excuse the messy background of the train room. We've been doing a bunch of work in here. I got to replace this backdrop. It's gotten pretty beat up. And I'm also working on the curtains going over the windows and whatnot. So it's not looking the prettiest in here. It's under construction. But we'll still have some fun with it. As I mentioned earlier, unfortunately, we're not going to be operating the pantographs today. They're acting a little goofy. But we'll still get to experience everything else. Let's jump right into it.
Penn Central 4901. You may proceed. Over. Yes, sir. We are good to go. Over.
The Manhattan Limited is now departing. This train is departing. All aboard, please.
Penn Central 4901. Dispatch. We're looking for outbound track. Over. Penn Central 4901. You are cleared outbound. Take the green. Over. Yes, sir. We are good to go. Over. Penn Central 4901. We're outbound. Over. 10-4. Over and out.
Welcome aboard the Manhattan Limited.
This is Penn Central 4901 here. Are we clear through the next milestone? Over.
Ladies and gentlemen, the dining car is now open for the first seating.
Penn Central 4901. You are clear and forward.
Ladies and gentlemen, the second seating is now open in the dining car. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got cocktails, soda pop, and snacks in the lounge car.
Dispatch, it's quitting time. See you tomorrow.
What do you guys think? That's one hell of a set, isn't it? As I mentioned, still can't believe we have one. And here's a quick little bonus. Our last video was another electric engine, this Fantasy Pennsylvania Cascade. A lot of you guys were asking me in that video what I thought of the GG1s or if I liked them. And absolutely, as you can see, I do. I just didn't want to spoil or ruin the fun of seeing this Penn Central GG1 that we got. A lot of you were also commenting on the size of the Cascade, and you're absolutely correct. This Cascade engine definitely dwarfs this GG1. This thing is a monster. Really could see these two running together, though, can't you? I think that'd be one hell of a team. Really has me thinking. We already have a Fantasy Pennsylvania version. It'd be cool to get another one and do one of those up as a Penn Central version, wouldn't it? I think that'd be sweet. One thing I am really looking forward to, the only engine I did pre-order this year were the Penn Central E8s that Atlas O recently announced a few months back. Those are coming in the exact same all black and white paint scheme. That's going to be one hell of a pairing here on this layout. Have this GG1 with the passenger consist behind it, and then have the Penn Central E8s with Penn Central rolling stock and freight cars behind that one. Yeah, that's going to make for one sight to see sometime next year. I can't wait. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this quick look at the new, or somewhat new, Penn Central GG1 and passenger cars. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Until next time, guys, as always, my name is Zach, and this is Country Bunkers Trains. Y'all take care. I'll see you the next go-round.